Welcome to another episode of ELEV8 by MdinaPartners. I'm your host, Kat, and today I've got Paul Cuschieri.
Good evening.
CEO and founder of Rebirth Design Studio. And today we get to talk about a topic, I think, which is an interesting one. So your transition into leadership. Yeah. So let's start from the beginning, or maybe the ones worth mentioning. Your journey, you're an architect by profession. Yeah. Your journey from being an architect to the founder and the CEO of Rebirth Design Studio. How did this did it happen? Was it something that you planned from the beginning? What's the story?
There was nothing planned.
Fantastic.
Nothing
That's the
planned.
best story.
So I come from a family of engineers.
Okay.
I mean, my mother is a maths teacher.
Okay.
But my father is a power engineer.
Structure.
But they were both artists.
Okay.
So they used to spend their free time either painting or whatever.
Okay. So it was a mix.
It was a mix, a very good mix.
And that's a perfect architect. It's through the structure with the design.
It is. There's always the analytical part as well, besides art. And so my father's a power engineer.
Okay.
But my two brothers are also engineers.
Okay.
One's another power engineer and a mechanical engineer, and I'm the black sheep.
Okay.
I'm the architect.
But
I always wanted
the correct move.
Yes, I always wanted to say, that's mine. I created that.
Okay.
So I always wanted to leave something behind.
Okay.
Whether it's small, whether it's great.
Okay. So legacy is something that was already important to you growing up.
Definitely. It was something that I was actually quite proud of, trying to create something for myself.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So that's the way it started, basically. Mm-hmm. Then from then on, I wanted nothing but architecture.
Okay.
So
which is not an easy route to have wanted nothing but.
It depends.
Okay.
Because that means that your focus is that one. So there's nothing to say, that or that.
Okay. So then it was a clear path.
To be fair, there was a time I wanted to become a professional violinist.
Okay.
Yes.
So
but my dad said no, university degree first.
Okay.
So
but the skill is still there.
The skill was there.
Okay, it has
it's
to
been
be,
quite
it's
a while since I
dusty.
picked up the violin, but yes, music has always been also a great part of my life as well.
Okay.
Yes, but that was the only thing that competed a bit with architecture.
Okay.
But nothing else, basically.
Okay.
So that was.
So you got into architecture.
Yes.
But now have your own studio. What is that? Because it's a leap to me from the skill set of an architect to the skill set of a leader and the founder of an organization. Mm-hmm. What happened in between?
So after graduating, I got my warrant. Okay. I spent a year with obviously another studio till I got my warrant. And I said I wanted to create something different.
Okay.
I went into project management first.
Okay.
Which wasn't really my thing.
Okay.
Because I wanted much more of the artistic side. I wanted to develop more.
So the design
side.
is a big word in your life.
Yes. In fact, I mean, we're back in my days. We had three streams.
Okay.
Structures, design, architecture, basically, and urban design.
Okay.
And I was between structures and architecture because I could understand structures quite well. Nowadays, I wouldn't dare do any structural work because my mind is simply focused on design.
Okay.
But after I chose design, that was it. So I knew exactly what I wanted. Project management was something that I had to do in the first few years till I started getting my clientele.
Value.
And it gave me a very important skill set.
Okay.
So that was basically my first attempt at managing.
And it's almost getting the harder skill set down first, and now you can almost play a little bit more.
It gives you a lot of versatility as well, even to foresee certain things that you can then direct your colleagues to take certain action on. So that really helped. But my heart was always in design.
Okay.
And I said to myself, okay, architecture, my father has his engineering company, there's something in between. Okay. We need interior design.
Okay.
So we said, okay, so then we should create a company that creates this one-stop shop of architecture, interior design, and then my father may assist or he gives his input with regards to engineering. So,
so it's really gave
yes,
the 360.
Exactly. And I always believe that architecture cannot stand on its own. As in,
It needs
yes, it's such a multifaceted discipline.
True.
That you need so many skills in order to create that experience, that experience basically. In fact, that's what Rebirth is.
Yeah.
We create experiences through our design. That I said, yes, we need architecture and interior design for sure under one cap.
Okay.
Hence Rebirth.
Okay, so is that the birth of a new side,
Yes.
a new facet?
Yes.
Fantastic. And so, in having your own setup of a studio, you automatically became a leader as well. Was that something that happened very naturally, or did you waddle around and learn the hard way?
So even back in university, I couldn't do public speaking. I couldn't.
Okay. And that is a part.
I was horrible.
This is a miracle. You're on a
Horrible.
podcast. You're covered by cameras.
No, I
Okay.
was
So
horrible
something
at
has changed.
Something has changed. And no, the first thing I did when actually I went on my own,
Okay.
I said, no, something has to change.
Okay.
So I took drama lessons.
Way.
Yes,
Okay.
and I was like obsessed with drama.
Okay.
In fact, I took it so well that I took it on so well that I even spent my summers abroad in different theater schools.
How cool.
Yes, doing summer courses to actually
getting
improve.
it ingrained.
Yes.
Okay. So you learned the art of expression, you learned the confidence.
Projection,
Okay.
standing, even how to walk. They teach you literally how to walk and stand.
Ilalo, and that to you
That was
gave you the foundation of leadership.
Even the fact that you're meeting other people then.
Yes. Okay.
Because that is where, you're meeting other people, making mistakes. Which is important.
It's true, because theatre also gives you that vulnerability of
Yes.
being in front of an audience and having to depend on yourself.
Blanking at times as well, which happened.
And
So yes, so that gave me another really good skill set,
okay.
which I value so much. And I think if I were to say that is part of the success,
Okay.
I say going to drama school is part of the confidence that gives me, yes, I can go through this.
Okay. I think that's a really nice one. One that people wouldn't take as a kind of the straight line to leadership. You wouldn't think, let me go to theatre, let me go to drama. But it makes a lot of sense to me.
It does.
That it gave you the confidence, the ability to vocalize, which is part of the contributor, I think, to the trust that you then create within your team. Okay. So that was part of the leadership growth. Anything else that you think, was easier or harder in the journey?
Harder. I think, well, everything has its challenges, obviously. But I think one of the challenges is creating a really good team.
Okay.
A good team that can follow your same mindset.
Okay. Because in design, it's quite personal as well. But what do you mean by mindset?
Mindset is the way we approach a project, the way we meet clients, the way we treat them, the way we treat each other.
Because it is unique in Rebirth, from what I have obviously understood from the outside.
Yes, I mean, all offices then, to a certain degree, create this family feeling. And with Rebirth, we said there's a bit more. It's like. We hardly say no to a challenge. Then again, we need to be humble enough to know our limitations.
Yes.
And that is one of the things that, you need to keep, even myself, I need to say, yes, I know my limits.
Okay.
And when there's a limit, that means I need to work harder.
Yeah. Okay.
Make up for that.
And being able to get your team to pick that up was one of the journeys. So.
Yes, thankfully, I am very lucky that I have a fantastic team.
Okay.
Fantastic team.
Amazing.
Yes,
it's
very
beautiful
grateful
that you can publicly say that and comfortably say that.
Yes, for sure. They are super.
Okay.
Indeed.
So what was now Rebirth is not the little studio you started. How many years ago now?
9 years.
9
Something
years ago.
like that, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You are now growing even internationally and
Yes.
doing some really cool projects.
Indeed. Indeed.
What, how does your leadership skill set, or what were the challenges, the surprises in going from little Malta, even though you had some big projects here as well and some
Yes.
to be really proud of, to scaling which is the Maltese dream?
It is the Maltese dream.
So what was the leaders? Absolutely, process.
Thank you.
What was the skill set that really contributed, you think, to being able to make it even outside?
Managing stress.
Okay.
For sure.
Yes.
So that was one of them. I think keeping the vision, as in keeping at the back of your mind that this is not a race.
Okay.
It's a marathon.
Okay.
Sometimes sometimes, for example, even just saying other design studios what they're doing, I would say, Marilla, they're doing really good work.
It can be intimidating.
As that. So, but I say, listen, that's chapter 11 of their story. I'm in chapter 5.
Okay.
So just enjoy chapter 5. You'll get to chapter 11.
Okay.
This is chapter 5. Let's start building onto chapter 6.
Okay.
And chapter 7 and so on.
Okay.
And I'd say to myself, this is not a race. So if I were to pace it, I'll get there. If I'll try to run, I'll just tire myself.
True.
And I'll
and
just
your team.
give up.
Yes, true. To me, this is really talking to me about kind of the grounded leadership you have. The fact that, because it can, especially in your world, it can get very cheeky. Instead, you're saying, keep focus on what we said we were about. Yes. Keep focus on the mindset. Keep focus on something that I really see with Rebirth is the intention to create experience. And focus on that rather than feel like little
There were
the little
times.
one left behind.
There were times, but as I said, keeping up the vision and keeping up the pace.
Okay. So from a leadership point of view, what do you think was a lesson you wish you learned before?
I think keeping the right people around you was key.
Okay.
That goes also for the team. But also, it's a hard one, this one. In the sense that
I think that's a valid point, to be fair.
There are so many
You were a
lessons.
lot of, okay. You can give me a top 2 or top 3 if you wanted.
No, I think keeping the right team, even people you can count on. Family is another one. I was lucky that I can work with family.
Okay, yes, of course.
So because we work in the same studio. So although we did have
because
arguments,
you're the black sheep who went under.
But I think there's a mutual respect between us all, and even between brothers. There's still a big respect.
Yes.
And we do get into arguments, but they fizzle out so quickly that we know that we either have your back, you have mine, that we're fighting towards, or we're working towards
for the same thing,
getting the same goal.
So it's not that silo, because it's easy to create a silo with the different focuses, but it is very much about the same united front.
Another thing I think is trying to create balance, which is not always easy. But I think as much as possible, I do try to keep that healthy lifestyle, both from diet and also workout. Sometimes, in fact, I found that classes are the best. It's like their meetings. Their meetings I need to stick to.
So gym classes.
Like HIIT classes, whatever.
Okay.
It's that 1 hour. I need to focus on that 1 hour.
Commitment.
Yes.
Okay.
And that, most of the time, that relieves a lot of stress. Now it could be, I don't know, it could be meeting friends or whatever. But keeping that.
Those outside commitments.
That brings perspective.
Okay.
Yes, and I think then going back to
hardest lesson
to know something I keep on reminding myself is that the most important step in every journey is not the first, neither the last. It's the next one, which brings you to the chapter.
Okay.
You're not in chapter 11, you're in chapter 5.
Okay.
Next is chapter 6.
Okay.
So keep into perspective, you know where you are.
This.
And it's always the next, the next, the next.
Okay.
And that keeps on going, takes you further. So
Okay.
that's what I've learned as well.
It's a useful one. I like it. Okay. So it's not an easy world you work in, because it is about balancing, I would say, that creative aspect with the business side of it, because you're here to also grow a business.
Of course.
How do you overcome the challenge of, managing that balance?
So it started off with a very particular mindset,
Okay.
which was placement.
Okay. In what context? What do you mean?
In the sense that money wasn't top priority.
Okay.
Placement was.
Okay. Placement
So,
of your brand.
Placement of the brand. Placement
Okay.
of the projects.
Okay.
And that is
Finding that right niche.
right, finding the right niche.
Okay.
So even if at times we were break even, or sometimes even less, but that got us to say we worked on that project,
Okay.
and that gives you obviously the credibility.
Yes.
So I think that was number one, placement.
And that is the entrepreneur in you, that risk reader, to say it's worth it to just be there, even if it's not first
Yes.
place.
I mean, there
It's
was a lot of
hard.
help. There was a lot of help.
And you had the structure behind you to do it.
Yes, I mean, sharing an office with
Is
obviously my
is a-
siblings was
Is a
big
decision to exactly.
help. Was a big help.
Uh-huh.
I mean, now we're finally getting our office, but we've spent a lot of years sharing
bunking.
offices. But
It
I
was
mean,
its
we
values.
grew as in it's just one collaborative team as it feels at the moment. But that was a big help, which I'm grateful for. So I think that's one of them. And I think even just being grateful for the opportunities that you've been given.
Okay.
And also, if you haven't got...
So making the most of the ones you have
Yes.
without panicking about the business side.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you're low on work, that only means that you can focus really well on the ones that you have.
So up the level
Just
of the
up
one
the
you're
level.
working on.
You have where you promise your client to do this, but you have time to do this.
Do it.
Then do it.
Okay.
I mean, you're not just gonna stare, just do it.
Okay.
And that will give you placement.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
they will say, yes, I mean, these guys, I can trust them with much more. So I think that was one of the good lessons that I should have learned previously. Because I learned placement as I went along.
All right.
I think that was a good one.
Okay.
Yes.
Paul, I think you've already touched on it a bit, but I'll push you a little bit further. You have this amazing calm about you. Even though, and I think you're the first architect I've met with this. It's a facade.
No, it's...
What is the go-to strategy? Because you are married to an architect, I know the stress is there. How do you keep your calm before a big meeting, before when a project is going off rail because of somebody else? How do you work under that pressure? The gym, okay?
The gym, okay. I know that I have a fantastic team as
Okay.
well, but I also prepare myself before a meeting.
Okay.
It's like going on theater.
Okay.
You prepare yourself mentally before you go on stage.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
exactly the same. So I know the points that we're discussing.
So you're trusting yourself because you're prepared for it.
Yes, I know that my colleague who is next to me also is also prepared because they
Okay.
are prepared.
Okay.
And I know that he's got my backing and I've got his.
Okay.
So, or hers. So that's one of them. It does get tough, but at the end of the day, it's something that we love doing. So, and I'm so lucky and grateful to be in this position that I say I can't complain.
The focus on the passion, the focus on what. Okay.
Yes. So, and even just being surrounded by certain people who work and are so passionate that it gives you the momentum to keep on going. I mean, sometimes when even we're abroad working on projects, we spend till even 12, 1 in the morning working, sleep, then we're up at 8, breakfast discussing the project again. But it's fun.
Okay.
You know, it's like I'm going back home. It's like I'm full of energy.
Okay. It really has become the drug.
It is. It is. So I think that there's such a good synergy at the moment that it just keeps going.
Okay.
And as I said, it's a marathon. Otherwise I tire myself out.
Yes.
So
okay. So
I need to pace myself.
It is maybe sometimes taking the gear down to be able to manage the marathon.
Yes. I think also the older I get, you fight less in the sense that you know where your battles are.
Okay.
So at first when I was much younger, I used to see everything like so big. Nowadays it's like, okay, we've been through this. We know what we need to do to tackle this. So it's much more of being wiser how to tackle things from a different angle, and knowing also another lesson, knowing what you should do and what you should delegate. Anything you should delegate. Probably your colleagues are well up to the challenge.
Okay.
And it's an opportunity for them to grow.
Okay.
Things that you need to do it. So we know that, again, we've got each other's back, and listen, do you mind? I need you to do this. You do the other front. So that's also really important.
Super.
Knowing how to delegate is a skill that even I am still trying to master.
But yeah, I think from a leadership development point of view, it's the one that people are the battle. I mean, there are many problems as leaders that keep us up at night, but it is one of the most unnatural ones. And within your field, it is one of the ones that I would say is even more unnatural because of the liability of what you do.
Yes.
And the legal responsibility, but also the need for perfection and letting it go onto somebody else. But I think what you've told me here is having the right people, really finding the right team is what allows you to do it. If you're not allowing yourself to delegate, it's clearly because you need to help yourself trust.
It's more of setting the vision nowadays.
And so if those are all clear,
yes,
it's doable.
Obviously each project is different, but once you set the vision,
Yeah.
then it will follow through.
Yep.
So
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I've picked up a lot of useful things from your conversation today. I think it was the theater side and the building, the skill set, and facing that fear of leadership quickly. I think it is the clarity of vision to be able to support the team. It is investing in your team. So maybe just wrapping all of this, transition into leadership, what would be your, go-to phrase, your motto as a leader?
I think it's the one I mentioned before.
Okay.
Which is, and this I mentioned this to my team very, very, very regularly.
Okay.
Which is the most important journey the most important step in every journey is not the first, neither the last, but it's always the next one. And this applies also to
everything.
them.
Yes. Absolutely.
And that is one thing that I keep to mind.
Super.
Every time.
I love this tone. Thank you very, very much for joining us again, Paul. And thank you for joining us for another episode of ELEV8 by MdinaPartners. We hope to see you again. Thank you and take care.